Just when Nigerians thought the days of long fill queues are over, motorists over the last weekend suddenly realized that the filling stations in some parts of the country were short, with very few selling the commodity. The NNPC says it has 2.5 billion litres of petrol in stock, enough to meet the country's need of at least 40 days. But why is there a shortage of supply for the commodity? This is the issue in focus today. Welcome to the program. I am Ayuba Ilea. Thank you for joining. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company attributes the return of fill queues in the FCT and its environs to the low loadouts at depots occasioned by the long public holidays. The Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, however, accused the government of the non-payment of 500 billion naira bridging claims to marketers, leading to the shortage in distribution. Take a look at this interview.
Most of the filling station there is no fuel, including even major marketers and even NNPC itself. Actually, the reason why you have been saying this thing is what we have been telling the government for a very long time. Because we independent petroleum marketers, we normally go to the private depots and buy the product and come and discharge inside our filling station and sell at the government stipulated rate. But because of the non-payment of Petroleum Equalization Fund, which has subjected most of our members to be in bankruptcy, that they cannot be able to purchase the product because they doesn't have the fund. The fund is already in the Petroleum Equalization. Right now, the marketers, Petroleum Equalization is owing marketers a tune of 500 billion naira. So actually, look at the 500 billion naira in the hands of the government. How do you expect the marketers to bring the products? Lest them involve us in the system, especially the NNPC. So, but there are a lot of bureaucracy in the NNPC. They cannot allow marketers to have the information of what is really going on. So in the distribution of change, we are not part of the management decision. Okay. So it's a great problem. Even this diesel, which they say they will give us a palliative of diesel, to be using it so that we can be able to bring the product to the down north and other places. Up to now, they didn't give us. The only thing that we may hear that they distributed AGO, but to whom? It's not coming to the marketers.
The Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority has dismissed the claims, saying that the marketers were continually paid as their claims are verified. According to the Chief Executive of the agency, Farouk Ahmed, between December 2021 and April 2022, about 49 billion naira has been disbursed to the marketers, with an additional 10 billion naira about to be paid. NMDPRA says payments have gone to 4 groups of marketers, namely Depot and Petroleum Products Marketers Association of Nigeria, NNPC Retail, IPMAN, Major Marketers. A breakdown of the payment provided by the NMDPRA shows that in December 2021, the agency paid 7.2 billion naira to IPMAN, 2.09 billion naira to Majors, 1.1 billion naira to NNPC Retail, and 1 billion naira to DAPP-MAN. IPMAN alone received in January 2022 4.5 billion naira, in February 2022 13.8 billion naira, and in April 2022 1.7 billion naira, while in May 2022 251.9 million naira. As of 9th May, 48.9 billion naira had been paid to all groups of marketers. Additional 10 billion naira was being processed, as we earlier told you, and this will raise the amount to 58.9 billion naira. Now, this is what we know so far about the payments to petroleum marketers. We'll take a look at some more after this short break. Please stay with us. All right, thank you for staying. Now, we're being joined in the studio by Zarma Mustafa, who is the Deputy National President of IPMAN, Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria. Thank you for joining us on the program this evening.
Thank you.
All right,
It's
now,
my pleasure.
let's talk about what's happening right now. All of a sudden, after about a few weeks, after the first scarcity that Nigerians experienced, fast forward to May, we thought that has been dealt with, and we are experiencing another, scarcity again. And a lot of people are now wondering what's happening. And all of a sudden, we heard that there's a statement by IPMAN talking about, bridging claims that have not been paid by the NMDPRA. So we're wondering, why now? Is this a strike or a protest?
Well, first and foremost, I would like to talk about the scarcity that you talked about and how it all came about. There was scarcity last month or 1.5 months, but due to the intervention of the management of NNPC, with the cooperation of all the marketers, all hands were put on deck to see how best the situation is being addressed. And alhamdulillah, the situation has been addressed, and it came up again. Why it came up again now is most of the marketers cannot be able to afford the cost of transportation of the product from the loading depot to where the products are needed. Whatever you see in the north or in most parts of the country is being bridged from the coastal depots to the hinterland for appropriate distribution to retail outlets. And the NMDPR has a responsibility of regulating and payment of that bridging claims of each product that you have lifted and delivered to the required appropriate destination. There is shortfall in terms of payment of accrued bridging claims of independent marketers. And there is another issue of diesel being very expensive. It went to the extent that the amount that you are going to be paid cannot even cover for the cost of diesel that is required for you do a trip, for example, from Kano to Lagos. If you lift a product from Lagos to Kano, it costs you about 33 naira today per liter, whereas the regulatory agency is paying only 26 naira, which has a shortfall of some amount.
Since when has that been?
It all came because of this Ukraine-Russian war that brought about skyrocketing of the price of diesel. The diesel is being bought around 200, 250 naira. Then suddenly it came to about 650 to 700 naira, which is almost 100%, about 300% increase. That rise has really affected the operations of independent marketers across the country.
The NMDPRA is saying that there is no such amount as 500 billion naira that is being owed, that they have paid all the money due to independent marketers. As a matter of fact, it referred to in December where there was a claim of about 50 billion naira that was not paid, and that so far between that December till now, they've paid about 49 billion naira, to marketers. So where is 500 billion naira coming from?
Well, that 500 billion naira that has been mentioned by one of our chairmen in Kano, they just called the PIGO without having proper information, but the amount is not up to 500 billion naira. to be candid. And we are working with the head, the authority chief, to see how best we can reconcile and make all the outstanding payments of all independent marketers being paid so that they can be able to have fun to continue with their operation. Not only being paid, look into even the bridging rate and give it a realistic rate where you can be able to bridge and get returns at the end of the day. Because today the cost is just a loss. And the bulk of what we have is in areas of about 9 months or 10 months.
Which is how much?
Conservatively, around 100 to 200, 100 in hundreds, but it's not up to 500 billion. I don't have exact figure, but I know it's almost 200 billion naira also.
All right. Now, again, the NMDPRA says that this payments is a process. I mean, it's a continuous process. And with each claims that is being made, they have a responsibility to verify those claims and to be sure that they are making those payments and that there's value for that. So don't you think that that's perhaps why those payments have not been made, and is there a need for the marketers to now to shut down?
Well, the issue of the authority to take as much as 9, 10, 11 months to verify claims of independent marketers is uncalled for, because the previous management has put in a mechanism in place called Aquila, where the whole process is being computerized, the whole process of generating the lifting of product, the upward delivery of product, the receipt of product at the receiving depot are all being computerized. Immediately you finish that transaction, within 7 days, that transaction will reflect in their central computer system, where all the bridging across the nation is being collated. And it doesn't need any further verification because it is machine generated. When you load, you have all the details of what you loaded, the truck number, the quantity, the type of truck, and everything. Just a mere flash. Every truck has a tag, a chip, a tag that contains a chip, microchip, that has information about the truck. Immediately it loads. The officer at that loading point will confirm, flash their computer system that this so-so-so truck has loaded for so-so-so company, destination is so-so-so, and is going to be leaving to that place. Immediately it reaches the destination, the receiving depot has their the authorities representative that also come to confirm and also at the same time take the computer generated information and confirm that that product is being delivered and sent to so-so-so retail outlet.
It seems like there are two issues here. One, you mentioned about the inflation that was caused by the Russia-Ukraine crisis and the need to perhaps maybe review what the NMDPRA is paying,
the rates,
for the bridging rates and all that. Now, again, if you said that what has accumulated, spans over about 9 months. Yeah. Right? So it means that, the Russia-Ukraine crisis did not start, as far back as that time.
Sure.
So before the Russia-Ukraine crisis came on board, right, what were the issues that were, responsible for the lack of the payment?
Well, they always say lack of funds, enough funds. Whatever they have is what they are going to have. This is what they are going to pay. And don't forget, the bridging process is a continuous process. Once they are paying, another ones are generated. Once they are paying, if the payment does not go off to what is being generated, automatically the backlog of arrears is going to be more. They don't have enough funds to pay for the bridging as at when due.
So do you think that there's a problem of budgetary allocation here? Because I recall that there was a time that the president had to send in requests for, specifically for, supplementary budget to be able to take care of the issue of the
Petroleum
subsidy
Equalization Fund does not have any budgetary provision. The fund is being raised from all marketers. It is marketers that contribute that money into the fund, and the fund uses that whatever that is being generated to pay for whatever bridging claim that is outstanding. The marketer collects the money from the consumer, is imputed in that price of 165 naira. There is certain amount that is supposed to be allocated or that is supposed to be disbursed to that fund. There are marketers that do bridging. There are marketers that don't do bridging. Let me give you an example. All the products that is being loaded, maybe in the coastal depots, they don't do bridging. The marketers that have filling station at that. Once you pick, you pay. Part of the requirement. Those ones that have no station outside will have to pay. It is that money that is being generated across the country, paid to the fund, and the fund pays whatever bridging claim that is accrued.
All right. Now, do you see a likelihood of maybe the Petroleum Industry Act, the new one signed by the president, is impacting on the processes of how these things are done? Perhaps is why we're seeing, the slow pace of disbursement.
Well, I assumed one of the things that is even delaying, bringing about the delay of the outstanding payments is the merger of the three organizations. They are just starting, and they are trying to try as much as possible to see how best they can be able to understand the system and put their best for further efficiency of the authority. We have the opportunity to discuss with the authority chief and other members, management staff of the organization, and they have assured us that most of those issues that we have raised will be looked into, and they will look for any available alternative that they can increase the funds that are coming into their hands to see that they have reduced the backlog of whatever outstanding bridging claim that is in the hands, their hands.
Okay. All right. Now we'll take a short break, and then when we come back, the discussion will continue. Please stay with us. All right, thank you for staying. And if you're just joining, you're watching Issues. And here we have in the studio Zarma Mustafa, the Deputy National President, IPMAN, talking about the lingering fuel scarcity in the country. Now, let's hear what's happening right now in terms of engagement to resolve this crisis, because definitely Nigerians are not having it easy at the moment. What kind of engagement have you had, either with maybe the NNPC or the NMDPRA, to resolve this?
Well, we have been able to meet the authority chief and told him our predicaments, challenges as regards to his operations. And he was baffled and surprised that he has been paying every month except for the month of April. He has not made any payment. But up to May, He has made a lot of payment. He is surprised that we are saying we still have a lot of outstanding. He said, no, most of the payments you have done, we don't even see anything much. Most of the marketers are complaining they are not seeing anything. There is need. We find an avenue where we can be able to sit down, discuss, and find a final solution to this. If not, the supply situation is going to be hindered. The supply situation is going to be critically affected. It's high time we act and see how best we can.
I mean, it's already affected, isn't it? Especially when we hear, some reports that say Nigerians should brace up for the worst fuel scarcity. That's quite scary when people hear that. It looks like there's no, hope. There's no end in sight for this current.
Well, that statement was unfortunate. That statement was unfortunate. You don't just go out and make this kind of statement at scaring the nation. I believe we all have responsibility of serving the nation, even if it is business we are doing. We have to have human feelings in whatever thing we are doing. And we have a responsibility of doing the needful to the society at any point in time, not looking for profit at the detriment of the society. You can't do that.
All right, now there's a debate. Earlier in the year, the federal government proposed to remove the fuel subsidy completely, and Nigerians are arguing for and against. And do you think that perhaps removing the fuel subsidy will do away with all of these things, and maybe it would have it better?
The fact of the matter is fuel subsidy is no more sustainable to the government, to the common man, and even the petroleum marketer. It's not helping any one of us. Here we are. Anywhere you want to transport product or goods, it is being paid right away. Maybe you give I'm taking maybe 1,000 bags of cement from Obajana to maybe Kano. I have to be given advance, and immediately I deliver that product. I am being paid immediately after. But in petroleum product, all the marketers are suffering. They take the responsibility of transportation of that product. They bring it down, sell it at the appropriate price, and at the end of the day, government is not willing to willing to pay that bridging, that work he has done for 9 months, 10 months. It's not done anywhere.
But
it's not done anywhere.
Is this the practice? Has it always been like this?
It has never been that bad. To be candid, it has never been that bad. But we are working with the authority chief to address this matter so that the payment arrears is going to be drastically reduced.
But if
secondly, removal of the subsidy even to the federal government, you can see the bill of about 4 trillion naira just for 2022 subsidy. It's outrageous, it's crazy. No government, no sensible government can take that kind of subsidy. How much is our budget? Out of 14 or 13 point something trillion, 4 trillion is going for subsidy. We have debt to service. We have recurrent, we have capital. If you look at it, it doesn't make any logical sense.
Now,
for government to continue.
The fear for many is that if you remove this subsidy, it's going to impact, very, very heavily on the economy. Nigerians will get to suffer in the sense that we are likely to see another inflation. I mean, we are likely to see the inflation rate go much, higher, and also the cost of, other things generally. So it's not like it's going to be an easy ride. Is there any way to cushion the effect? Is there any way, aside from what we heard from federal government talking about palliative, that they will give for, transport palliative that they are proposing and all of that. Is there other alternative, any, sustainable alternative?
The only alternative is for the government to make sure it provides enough refinery that refines our needs within the country first. If we have refineries that are working, that produces what we need, I believe the government can find an easy way out of managing a win-win situation between the government and the common man. I don't think the common man himself will like the federal government to be spending subsidy of over 4 trillion naira without him having any benefit from that subsidy. I would rather suggest that 4 trillion naira should have been used to improve our education sector, health sector, agriculture, and other sectors that will boost the development of the economy, than to be just putting it into a hole that nobody knows how long it continues to generate. So I think the federal government should look for a way where they make most of our refineries functional and find a way that they will be removing maybe the subsidy gradually, maybe within a period of 2 years or 3 years, gradually.
There's so much discussion going on about the Dangote refinery, which is, almost completed. What's your expectation by the time that refinery is completed?
Well, that refinery is going to be one of our savior. It's going to be the savior of Nigerian economy, because the imports we are doing is putting a lot of pressure on the exchange rate of this country. If we can be able to generate 650,000 barrels per day, refinery can be able to make that production optimally, I believe it will go a long way in cushioning the effect of supply, cushioning the effect of the pressure on the exchange rate, and availability is going to be guaranteed, coupled with the other Nigerian refineries that is owned by the federal government, Kaduna Refinery, Warri Refinery, Port Harcourt 1 and Port Harcourt 2. If we combine that, I believe we will not be having any further issues of petroleum scarcity.
All right, in the short term, what assurances can you give Nigerians now as we're dealing with this thing? The NNPC, of course, says that they have about more than 2.5 billion liters of petrol in store. So the issue is about,
bringing it.
Yeah, offtake and all. So it puts a lot of, pressure or responsibility on IPMAN and, other sister organizations. So what can be done in the short term to speedily take away and make sure that these queues disappear?
Well, we are not sleeping. We are still even engaging our members to continue their operations. And we have engaged ourselves with all the regulatory agencies. The needful is going to be done. They should not relent and allow the scarcity to continue perpetuating, of which most of our capable marketers have agreed, and they are doing it right now. And within a short period of time, we believe the short in supply is going to be addressed.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us on the program. We appreciate you coming and sharing with us what's going on as regards Nigeria's fuel scarcity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ali.
Yeah. We've been speaking with Zarma Mustafa. He is the Deputy National President of IPMAN, the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria. With that, we've come to the end of the program. You can watch more by subscribing to our YouTube channel and also following us across all social media platforms. I am Ayuba Ile. Thank you for watching.